vast marine and aquaculture resources. The participants at the event also prized the so-called Alba Azul initiative, which proposes to strengthen the production of marine protein with the intention of benefiting all the bloc members through shared investment.
In this sense, they first agreed to consolidate Agro-Alba as a strategic cooperation mechanism for the integration of Alba TCP aimed at strengthening the agricultural, livestock and agroindustrial cooperation of the members during strategic alliances that facilitate access to productive lands according to the capacities and needs of each nation.
On the other hand, Venezuelan Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture, Juan Carlos Loyo, highlighted that his country proposes water capacities to boost aquaculture through the Alba Azul project.
In relation to this aquaculture proposal, as we said yesterday, based on the latest FAO analysis of 2 years ago, the two lines cross. The world produces as much food through aquaculture as fish and other resources are caught. And the world is moving towards the need for an aquaculture to support its food supply. The Alba Azul strategy also proposes the aquaculture component, and together with the capacity of the land. Venezuela proposes a water capacity, its experiences, its initiatives, so that our anglers can have access to technologies that allow them to develop sea aquaculture activities as well as to use our rivers and water bodies to develop continental aquaculture.
The Secretary General of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, informed that the nominations for the mayoral and city council elections will be held from June 9th to 13th, 2025. During a press conference, Cabello added that from July 11th to 24th, the electoral campaign for the candidates of the party will begin. Furthermore, he urged all the structures of the Great Patriotic Pole to get organized for the beginning of the grassroots assemblies this coming Saturday, June 6th, for the nomination of candidates for the mayoral and municipal councils. In this sense, he affirmed that more than 47,000 communities at the national level will participate in the grassroots assemblies.
The elections are on July 27th and the nominations for these positions are from Monday, June 9th to Friday, June 13th. It is the inscription of the candidates.
The Secretary General of the Socialist Party of Venezuela also indicated that 335 mayors will be elected and detailed that city councilors and alternates will be elected in each community of the country.
335 mayors' offices throughout the country, 2471 candidates are going to be elected to the municipal councils. That amount is going to be elected by two, because it is their principal and their alternate members. Let us imagine how many candidates we will have, how many candidates the opposition will have. It will be a very busy election. There are 1,420 positions listed in the municipalities, 982 nominal candidates in the municipalities, and there are 69 candidates of indigenous representation in 8 states.
In Chile, victims of illegal adoptions demonstrated Friday to urge the creation of a public DNA bank to help them reunite with their relatives. With slogans such as "No More Silence" and "Dress in Black," members of the Children and Mothers of Silence Foundation welcomed the presidential decision to create the DNA bank, but warned they would not allow the promise to remain on paper. The bank would allow extrajudicial consultations to know biological origins without the need to open criminal proceedings, facilitating the access to the truth to those who were abducted without a legal adoption process. During the dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet, a network of illegal adoptions reached massive levels and involved doctors, judges, notarians, religious, and immigration authorities. In Chile, a 6.6 magnitude earthquake shook the coast north of the Atacama region, leaving 23,000 homes without electricity supply. The National Disaster Prevention and Response Service reported that due to the earthquake in the region, there were power outages in households and minor structural damage in the areas of Atacama. Likewise, it reported that there were no deaths or injuries and recalled that the Hydrographic and Oceanographic Service of the Navy ruled out any risk of tsunami in the coast of the country. In addition, it was recorded that the depth of the earthquake was 65 kilometers and that the localities that were closest to the epicenter were Diego de Almagro and Copiapó, where the tremor was felt. From the coastal city of Sicily in southern Italy, the Freedom Flotilla aboard the Madeleine ship is heading for the Gaza Strip in Palestine. A group of 12 crew members set sail for the Palestinian enclave to break the Israeli humanitarian blockade against the Gaza Strip. The activists state that regardless of the attempts of the Zionist troops to intimidate them with alleged attacks, they will continue to move forward until they reach Palestinian soil. Recently, the U.S. organization reported that more than 2 million Palestinians are on the verge of starvation, in addition to shortages of medicines and other basic commodities such as water. In an exclusive interview for teleSUR, the crew member of the Madeleine ship of the Freedom Flotilla, Thiago Aveland, stated that they do not care about the Israeli threat against their humanitarian aid mission to the Gaza Strip.
Once the peoples are determined to march for their freedom, there is no turning back and no oppressive power can stop the will of the people. So we do not care about threats, we do not ask permission to the occupying force, which has no authority neither in international waters nor in Palestinian maritime territory to poke us. So we continue to Gaza with the support of the people in the heart of every person who knows that starving children to death is wrong and we cannot accept that. So we continue our journey with the moral high ground, as Bolivar said, as Marty said, as Chaves said, as so many other people said. We continue to play our role in history. A humble mission of 12 people, but connected to a global uprising, which has the Palestinian people and the people of the global south as its leadership.
Moreover, Thiago Aveland stressed that any kind of aggression by Israel against the arrival of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip is illegal.
Israel is forbidden to stop any kind of humanitarian aid from reaching Gaza, not only Israel, but any other country and the International Criminal Court. The same in the case against Netanyahu and Abdallah, as well as the few resolutions of the UN Security Council which approved for humanitarian aid to reach Gaza. Therefore, any kind of action by Israel is totally illegal both by the criteria of international law and the law of the sea of the UN, so we go with international law. With the will of the people and a deep sense of historical need to collaborate with the Palestinian people in their fight for freedom and dignity.
Kilmar Abreu Garcia, who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador, returns to the United States to face criminal charges for alleged migrant smuggling. According to the report, the two-count indictment was filed under seal in the Middle District of Tennessee last month. The indictment alleges that Kilmar Abreu, 29, participated in an alleged conspiracy to transport migrants from Texas into the U.S. and illegal transportation of foreigners for financial gain. Abreu is the second deportee to return to the U.S. after a Guatemalan citizen was wrongly sent to Mexico.
Two months ago, the United States Supreme Court ordered the government to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abreu Garcia, to facilitate his release from custody in El Salvador, and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador. Those are the words of the US Supreme Court. I think we can all agree that that is not what happened today. What happened today is not the manner in which this would have been handled had Mr. Abreu Garcia never been improperly sent to El Salvador. What happened today is an abuse of power. What happened today is the exact opposite of due process, because due process means the opportunity to defend yourself before you're punished, not afterwards. Mr. Abrego Garcia is going to be vigorously defending the charges against him. I am planning to meet with him as soon as possible. As we've explained to many of you, he's been held completely incommunicado for the entire time that he was in El Salvador. He was not allowed attorney visits. He was not even allowed attorney phone calls. This is nothing like what the Supreme Court envisioned 2 months ago when it upheld the district judge's order requiring that the government facilitate his return in the ordinary course.
U.S. President Donald Trump revealed Friday that the meeting between the U.S. and Chinese teams will take place next Monday, June 9th, in the British capital of London. In a post on his Truth Social account, the U.S. President indicated that the meeting will focus on the trade agreement. He also stated that the U.S. team will be made up of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. Then Trump announced that the meeting should go very well. On Thursday, the U.S. President had a phone conversation with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping and later shared that this call focused almost exclusively on trade-related issues. The Ministers of Agriculture and Fisheries of the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, ALBA TCP, agreed Friday in Caracas, Venezuela, to adopt strategies to ensure the region's agri-food sovereignty with a solidarity approach. The bloc's Executive Secretary, Jorge Arreaza, emphasized that the meeting sought to strengthen the region's agri-food capabilities and vast marine and agriculture resources. The participants at the event also praised the so-called Alba Azul initiative, which proposes to strengthen the production of marine protein with